for today's video, again, we're going to be looking at some new social media creatives, and we're looking at mostly video with a bit of carousel and photo content to be looking at for your brand to give you some inspiration, whether it is that you have a clothing brand, some other type of brand, whatever it is you may do, or you work in marketing or anything like that, or just want some inspiration for any of the above reasons. I'm going to be looking at some different video content, like I said, mostly on IG as well as a bit of TikTok, from mostly some smaller-ish brands in the streetwear space as well, like in general, but also some larger brands and things of that nature. So going to keep this one pretty short and sweet. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. Okay, cool. So this first one I have is actually more of like a brand ambassador slash influencer kind of play done by Northace, and I thought this one's actually really interesting just because the style of video is a bit different than what we're used to seeing. So I'll just play this one.
Northace sent me a new jacket and said, go get cold and go get wet. I'm pretty cold. I'm pretty wet. Go buy a Northace. What else do you need? I just got sent this jacket. They said, see how it works in the rain. It's raining. The jacket's on. It works. Go buy a Northace. The Northace sent me another jacket and said, go get wet. Again. I'm wet. Again. Go buy Northace. Again.
So all these again are like super like 8-10 second tops, like short form content this guy filmed. I don't know much about him. I think he is like a somewhat decent sized influencer, close to 400,000 on IG. I'm assuming that's just typical kind of energy and whatnot. But I think the takeaway there, if I can pull this up again, is yeah, you can get away with something like this if you target the right type of person and really just influencer. And I think this really just kind of goes back to thinking about the whole influencer and ambassador plays that you might be having. Just because someone has a ton of followers doesn't mean that they're actually going to get that kind of reach and impact that you kind of want them to, which I've seen myself, my own brand, when I've sent clothes for free to a given music artist or other type of, public figure, and they posted about the jacket, and maybe not as directly as this was saying like go buy the North Face, but yeah, the impact has not nearly been what I would have thought it would have been. But yeah, this guy literally made an ad in like 8 seconds that actually like works. He says go buy North Face, and people actually like want to buy the North Face after watching this type of video, just because of how like authentic, creative, and kind of like funny and like kind of for all those reasons, and also just like really on brand with I think him. Clearly feels very authentic and not forced. So I think this is just something to think about as a play, whether you are looking for some ambassadors or brand influencers or whatever that might be, to try and target people that still like align with the brand from either like their demographic that already exists, and also like kind of what they bring to the table, type of energy they bring, do they align, and all of those manners with your brand. But also like if you can get away with doing like an ad like this, and if you want to have someone on your own team, or if you're a brand owner that wants to try something like this, I saw this like the other day. I think it was literally Outlander posted this yesterday, and it's got my brain really thinking about, or my brain really thinking about like how I could maybe try doing something like this, or bringing on someone to do something like this. So yeah, really interesting concept. Not like crazy groundbreaking, but again, just makes you like rethink things with this constantly ever changing landscape and the way things are going. Next up we have is this brand Holtz, who he is the brand owner is actually the head designer for Mint in New York, if you're familiar with them. So I thought this is a really cool BTS video behind the production of this latest boot that they're doing. So I'll go and play that. So this whole like high production BTS play, I think, still works very well. I believe it was their shoots I showed in the last video that did this very well for one of their actually boots as well. And so yeah, if you're going to design and make something that costs a lot of money, something like $320 boot, so this works well for shoes. If you're doing some type of crazy outerwear, some crazy pants, a crazy bag, anything that involves like a high level of quality, and you're charging a high price point, and you have direct access to maybe the factory or manufacturing or thing of that nature, or maybe you just try and ask to try and get some footage of these things. I think if you're able to do some type of high production play where you have a bit of like the ASMR kind of feel, just again showing people like physically making the product. Again, it's very high production, but still feels like creative. And I think videos like these are really important for trying to sell those higher end products. Yeah, not much more to it than that. I really like the kind of creative direction of it as well, showcasing some of these sketches in the beginning, going on to again the actual like production of it itself. We have some of the CAD design, all this other stuff that's going on, the pattern making. I think it's really cool BTS video. It's definitely like informative and interesting, but also like kind of really showcases why something costs that much money. This is actually filmed in Portugal, so it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, if you're able to do something like this, or I think if you are going to try and charge something for a high price point, you should be looking at trying to do some type of video like this that really shows the physical process of it being made to kind of further demonstrate why it should be charged for that price point. Next up, we have this one by Cole Henry, and this is a pretty simple video, but I also think this really works very well because he's essentially like a blanks kind of brand. Like if you look at a lot of the product, it really is just like blank hoodies and sweats and some simple like sweaters and things of that nature. He's built his brand primarily off TikTok. I believe I've talked a little bit about his brand before, but I'll go and play this video. So I'll be very honest. I don't think most brands can do this, especially like your newer brand trying to do something. What I mean is not necessarily like both the high production standpoint of it. Obviously, there's some that it's pretty well shot. They created or went to a specific location, and it's probably decently not crazy high budget. Again, pretty simply shot. But it really doesn't like tell a story. It's more about just like again like the imagery, what you're seeing, the visuals. But I think it really works because it doesn't really do too much other than just showcase the products in a very high light. Um, but again, they're just selling blanks. I think this kind of like less is more concept works very well for something like blanks that isn't over the top crazy garments and things of that nature. So I think this is one where it actually aligns well like what they're trying to showcase. The blanks and then also the video itself is also like kind of mimics that energy. It's not some crazy over the top high paced thing showcasing the blanks. It's not like again crazy like creative or anything of that nature, but also again I think kind of reflects this whole like again just these nice blanks essentially they're selling at the end of the day. So to showcase a bunch of different people out of this nice location, well shot, thing of that nature. So yeah, I think that one just works well for that. But I don't think most brands, if they did the same video for, if they're just now starting out and they're doing their own blanks, or if they are, whatever new like thing they're trying to do, I don't think most brands can get away with just something so simple. But I think that reflects well on this one. Going over to TikTok real quick, one page I think does really well. This brand, When I Reminisce, by this guy, just the tag Aloe type beat, has some really good content. And one I like that he did recently, if I can find it, is this.
I was just like a friend, and it reminded me of when I was a kid in the 2000s.
And so I just like this whole concept that I've seen a lot of other brands do on TikTok and brand owners where they showcase them at, for example, he's like Goodwill, like thrifting, quote unquote, and he finds his hoodie. I've seen people do this with like going to Target and putting their clothing on the rack and then like, oh, new Target drop, or they do it at Uniqlo or literally like any type of retail you can think of. I still think this type of content works where you place your product in like public and film it like your product is the one that they're releasing. I like that as well. I'm also still a big fan of carousels on TikTok, stuff like this. Just having a very like direct first carousel, either as a founder content, just talking about like, hi, my name is such and such, and this is what I do. Or you can do like the artist versus the art. There's a lot of things to play around with, but I still think if you have any type of brand, and especially as a brand owner, you should be doing a lot of carousels because I think they work really well. Of course, this is like just varies by person. Some people are really good at the creative part of creating videos. Me, it's something I personally struggle with, so I like to do carousels a lot. And this very simple layout, I think, still works very, very well, and I think a lot of people should lean into a lot more. Moving on, again, another one that doesn't have to do with video, but I was doing some digging on this brand, for I think the brand is called Four Atelier. And I was doing some digging on a bunch of different brands, and I came across this art direction they did for this cap they released, like this from a couple years ago. But I really like this a lot just because of the creative direction, and I just like when brands go the extra mile on the creative aspect of the marketing and showcasing, their product. So they literally had this artist Calvin Bosnich do this oil and canvas painting for their actual caps coming up. It wasn't like just like he painted or whatever, did like a cap. He did this cap in this like really unique setting. I like just the overall creative direction this in general. And yeah, I think this is like really interesting and like solid marketing. If you're able to like pay someone to do something like this, like in an artistic way, portray your product along with like this type of again like very well thought out creative direction setting, I think can work a lot. I don't want brands to think that they can just like have this done in AI instead of like paying someone. I definitely think this is something that they should again have someone like do as a commission work. But also, I think there's another play on top of that with them, especially if the artist or whoever has a bit of a following, to have a double like cross post like that. I think can work very well. And yeah, obviously for this something like this hat that I believe did very well. Again, don't know a ton about the brand, but yeah, if you want to go all out for something like this cap drop of whatever it is you're releasing, I think the more like creativeness you can again like pour into a release, from like the ads to the photography to everything else in between. I think goes a long way towards building someone that actually wants to really be a part of your brand and be a customer. And so yeah, I think even something as simple as this is still like super sick and underutilized, and something I'd love to see done by other brands. Next up, we have Basket Case Gallery. Definitely one of my favorite brands. Been a big fan of them for a while, and actually went back and pulled up this one that I like a lot. I'll play this one real quick.
Basketcase. All right, fabulous. Let's take those glasses off and let's get to that episode.
So again, like really simple and well shot video, but I think this works well for a lot of reasons. First of all, they use the eye lens, which I believe I think it was a Puma back in the day did it with like some runner like 20 years ago or something like that. Not something that's done a lot by brands anymore, but still think it's something that could be done again. But I really just like the simplicity of the nature of this video. Again, really easily shot, done at a doctor's office. It's an eye exam. When you're going there and have to read off all of the letters. Of course, they replace the typical letters or whatever the random ones are with Basket Case Gallery spelled out. And then they have their Thumper logo was like the little eye lens. You can see it again right here, one of their main logos. So again, I think when you can make the videos less about the clothes, I've said this before and I'll say it again, just the less you can make it about the clothes. I mean, she was wearing like the clothes in that shot, so like a cardigan and something else, but it really had nothing to do with that and everything to do with just branding and building brand and marketing. And yeah, something like this, I think, is those little videos that can kind of compile over time and really make someone just a fan of the brand because of how creative these are, and just how like again, this kind of is pretty on brand for them. They're a little bit like I don't even know how to describe Basket Case Gallery. A little bit like punk and grunge, but like not really, but kind of. But yeah, I think having videos like these that are really well shot, high production, but again, something like this is a pretty simple concept. Doesn't require too much outside of like paying like the actor for the doctor, the setting, and the chick and whatnot. Really not much more to it than that. And then also adding in videos like this, we're just showcasing upcoming releases and clothes that are coming out. I think brands need to have a good mix of both the higher end production stuff as well as the simple vertical shot on iPhone stuff like this one that I was just showing. And I think it's when you do both of those well that you can really see some serious incremental success for brand growth, and especially for most newer brands, especially on a lower budget. Try not to go crazy over the top and just if you want to do like a nice high production film, just hire like a good videographer for a couple $100 to do something, and then come up with a very simple concept that doesn't require too much more other than again the videographer and whatnot. And then also having the mix of doing the iPhone content. And I think when you do both of those consistently over a long enough period of time, that's when you'll see success. And then lastly, I pulled up the most recent Fugazi video, which I'll play real quick.
Fuck, Jason.
So again, really simple, like 15-20 second video. Again, another one that's clearly like shot well, but just done in a really easy setting. Cost like next to nothing to do something like this. This is for their upcoming. This is also just brand new. I don't know a ton about it, but it's this new like called the Oofs, which is essentially like an UGG rip that they did. I believe it doubles as both like an UGG high top as well as like a mule. And so yeah, the video is again really simple. Adds a bit of like that humor element into it, where again they're just like walking and the thing just falls over, which again kind of like that oof concept, and then the girl blames the guy for it, which is funny. But overall, again, really simple concept, and I think some of these can be like more thought out and more like a minute-ish, minute and a half, long thought out story. And some just need to be a really quick showcasing the product very briefly. But again, this wasn't overly about the product. I had like just one or two product shots of the two walking their feet, and then I showed like the shoes very briefly, and again was all about the concept of again announcing this whole like oof concept, so the name of the product, as well as just a bit of like the humorous element added into it. I think again why this video did well. Of course the brand is pretty successful, and just about anything they do probably will to some extent do pretty well from their video content. But there are definitely two solid brands, Basket Case Gallery and Fugazi, to look at for a bit more of these high art direction, well shot videos done in a horizontal format. But again, I think most brands just need to look at what kind of strategy they can do to implement both of those things, both the well done, well shot horizontal or sometimes vertical content, as well as the shot on iPhone, a little bit more. Not as much thought involved, but just kind of like easier to do, 10 to 20 minutes tops vertical content. I think having a good mixture of both of those is very, very important. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for today, guys. Again, wanted to show you some different video content as well as a bit of the carousel type stuff. Yeah, whatever your thoughts are, please let me know down below. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you've not already. I'm going to be doing some more videos like this, hopefully, kind of just showcasing some again, vertical as well as horizontal videos for both bigger and smaller brands to hopefully give you some inspiration. So please let me know what you want to see more of that kind of high production stuff versus the type of like TikTok vertical shot on iPhone, really simple concepts, or a mixture of both. Like I said, I think just being able to do both and having a good mixture is really key for most brands nowadays. So yeah, please let me know what you guys want to see more of down below, your thoughts on the video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.